Well, hello there. Apparently I'm live, so I'll give people a little bit of time to get here. We got lots to talk about today. I've got a big stack of things I want to tell you. So as people realize that I'm live and start joining us, we'll get started. In the meantime, I hope everyone is enjoying fall weather around here in the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful. We have lots of sun. It's cold. It was like 34 degrees. That's cold for us. And I'm not sure what the temperature is. I think it got up to 40 or something today. We can look and see. Oh no, it got up to, it's 51 degrees right now. Positively balmy. Oh, hi Jackie. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll get a few more people in here, and so we can kind of get going. Like I said, I have a lot of topics to talk about today. I really want to breeze through a bunch of that stuff. But if you have questions, please post a question. If I have a chance to answer it at the end of the Facebook Live, I'll do that. If I run out of time, then if it's posted online, I'll answer it online. Or if you want to send me a private message, that's fine too. So this time of year, we're starting to enter that time of year where things are really super busy, and not everybody has a chance to take a break and come and join my little talk. But on the other hand, also it's so busy that it's actually a good deal. You know, it's a good thing to just take a break, sit and listen to some tips, because that's what I want to talk about. The fall, the coming season is going to be a lot about how to take care of ourselves when everything is flying around you like maybe the witch on the broom, you know, that there's all kinds of stuff going on, and sometimes you are doing your best to keep up, but it doesn't always work that way. So I've been told that I'm supposed to give people a little more time. If you're on the call, you know, let people know that you're here. You might send other Facebook friends a little message that you're on a Facebook Live with Dr. Kathy Marshak, and invite them to join us so that they can find out more about what's going on too. And the one thing that always what I have some trouble with is getting this darn thing going, because until there are more people joining us, I hate to start and then have to start over again and fill people in on what they just missed. But it's that kind of thing. People can get pretty busy. Well, I'll give people another 15, 20 seconds to get here, and I'm sure that other people are going to be joining us also little by little. Looks like, oh yeah, it looks like people are starting to notice that I'm here and I'm live. So let's just go ahead and get going here, and I'll repeat some of this. So mostly what I wanted to let you know about is the conferences that are coming up. As you know, what I'm doing with our new membership site, Asperger's Syndrome and Relationships, Life with an Adult on the Autism Spectrum, is that I'm hosting video conferences every month and a couple of teleconferences. The video conferences are for a small group of people, and so that we can chat with each other. I don't record those calls because I want you to feel like you have total privacy and you can just share what's going on. Oh, hi, Linda. We got a couple more people. We got 4 or 5 people that are dropping in. This is good. So the video conferences are for members only, and they're small, maybe 8 people. And the idea is that we get to share with each other the things that we know. We get to ask questions. And so far, we haven't had any questions that were asked that weren't important to ask. I think it's important also if we keep going over those things that we've talked about before, because there are multiple layers to deal with, aren't there? When we live with someone on the autism spectrum, oh my gosh, there's so many layers to process that it seems like I could probably do the same talk every week and we would come up with yet new stuff to talk about. So what I do is I offer the video conferences 3 times every month. The topic is offered 3 times. It kind of turns out different each time because of the group that's joining us, but it's pretty much the same topic. And then I offer a teleconference every month, and that is free to members of the support group, Asperger's Syndrome and Relationships. The teleconference is open to as many people. Sometimes we've had as many as 75 people on the call. And then everybody gets a chance to hear my presentation, and then I open it up for questions. And then you get to share your questions with other people, get tips from other people. And then we also offer a meetup teleconference. So let me give you, it's a little bit shortened this year because of the conferences. Well, it's not shortened in November, but it's a little bit shortened in December because at the end of the year it gets a little wild and crazy and I'm not doing as much. But let me tell you what's coming up in November. The first teleconference is, what do Aspies want? So that should tell you a lot. Because I think that's something, if we could understand what they want, what's driving them, what's the motivation behind their questions and their behaviors, it makes it so much easier to negotiate with the other person. So you may not know this, but I actually get requests from people on the spectrum to join our groups, our meetup group and our private membership group. And of course, I don't let them join because it's for us, it's for neurotypicals, and it's not for the Aspie partner or parent or whoever the adult is in your life. But they ask because they want to know what we want. They will frequently say to me in their email, you know, may I join, because if I got to read what people are talking about, or if I got to attend your teleconferences or video conferences, maybe I'd understand what my spouse wants. So I think they kind of want the same thing, but we have to learn how to read between the lines because they don't do that very well. So that's the first conference, and I'll be offering that November 5th, 7th, and 12th. And then the next one is a teleconference coming up on November 14th for members of the private group, and it's entitled Get the Guilt Out of the Way. And what I wrote about that is, why do we feel so darn guilty in these relationships with our ASD loved ones? It's pretty simple, really. NTs accept responsibility for doing what we can to improve the relationship, while our Aspie loved one does not. Over and over again, when we hit a wall with our Aspies, we search for another approach, and each time we fail, we feel badly. So we feel guilty because we keep trying to come up with ways to reach them. It doesn't mean that they don't want a relationship, but they're not asking themselves, how do I say this differently so I can reach him or her? We're always asking that. They're not searching for it. They just are searching for, how can I be heard? So when you have empathy, like neurotypicals do, we're asking, how can I understand them and how can I be heard? It's both. But they're not asking that. They're just asking, how can I be heard? So that leaves the conversation kind of dropping on one side, and we can keep feeling guiltier and guiltier because we're failing to get through the way we would like to. So I think this is an important topic for our teleconference that's coming up. Then the second wave of video conferences in November is entitled Breaking the Narcissism Trap. Again, this is for members of Asperger's Syndrome and Relationships, life with an adult on the autism spectrum. So I don't know how to say how important this one is. I try to separate the kind of narcissism that our Aspies have from true narcissistic personality disorder, because true NPD people, they're not the least concerned about you. They're definitely concerned only about themselves, and they don't mind hurting you. But our Aspies aren't like that. They have a narcissistic quality because they are only asking themselves how they can be heard, but they think, if you could just hear me, it's all going to be fine. And that's different than the narcissist. So we're going to talk more about how to step out of the reactions we have with their narcissistic behavior, because our reactions are to like pull back and protect ourselves from that stuff, when what they're really trying to do is be understood. It doesn't mean they aren't trying to control you. It doesn't mean they aren't saying the wrong thing or causing harm, but we'll be talking about that. And those three conferences are November 19th, November 21st, and November 25th. It's all on the calendar. It'll be posted on Facebook. Don't worry about it. It's also on the calendar at our private membership site. And if you aren't a member, you can go and look around and get an idea of what it would be like. And you can join if you want to. If you've got concerns about someone on the autism spectrum in your life, as an adult especially, then I think our website and our community is exactly where you need to be. Then you don't feel so alone. I know that's why I started it. I can tell you more about that later too. Then the last thing that's happening in November is a teleconference for the MEETUP group. So MEETUP is separate, Asperger's Syndrome Partners, Family, and Friends for Adults with ASD. That's the name of that group, and it's on MEETUP. MEETUP is a low-cost alternative. It's $25 for the year to join the MEETUP group. And I always offer a monthly teleconference on MEETUP. And we also have discussions there. People can, but go to the message boards and chat about the topics. And I think people feel that they get a lot of support. So the teleconference is called Holiday Stress Management, as you might imagine. So what's coming up, obviously, in November is Thanksgiving. And then shortly after that is Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, lots of interesting holidays around the world where we enjoy them, but they can make us incredible stress messes because of the increased intolerance of our Aspies. They can be quite overwhelmed by the hullabaloo, the smells, the noise, and frequently we feel like we're all alone to plan the events for our family members, right? We feel like we're the one that's going to take care of it all. So this MEETUP teleconference is for anybody that's a member of both of the groups. And by the way, if you're a member of Asperger's Syndrome and Relationships, your MEETUP membership is free, because I really want you to continue participating with the MEETUP members. It's a larger group, international. It's an opportunity to, talk to people that are from different parts of the world but struggling with the same thing. So holiday stress management, well, this is one of those things that you absolutely have to deal with every year. And if you have a plan, it's better. And one of my plans always is at Thanksgiving. I don't do it anymore. But when my kids were young, we would hop in the motorhome and go to the Oregon coast for Thanksgiving. And we'd camp at a campground that always had a Thanksgiving potluck. So the campground hosts would provide the turkey and the dressing, and I think sometimes the mashed potatoes, something like that. And the rest of us campers would bring the rest of the meal. So, I always cooked something up and made a couple of pies and, things like that. And we got to chat with the other campers, and it was really stress-free. It was beautiful. We got to camp in a beautiful setting. It was cold, because the Northwest is cold at that time of year, but it didn't matter. We just put on our cold weather gear and we went over to the community center and had a potluck with other people who had braved the weather and camping and did that. And then the next day on Black Friday, instead of being trapped by a bunch of crazy shoppers or even just determined that you're going to stay home and not engage, we would go out to the little coastal towns and go shopping at their little holiday bazaars. And it was never crowded, and it was always delightful. And we'd get hot chocolate and peppermint, and we'd have a great time the day after Thanksgiving. So it was restful, it was fun, it was festive, but I didn't have to work my brains out. It was great. I loved it. So I recommend things like that, some way to make sure that you get through the holiday transition by taking care of yourself, starting new traditions, letting go of things. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to use the napkin rings. It's really okay. You don't have to get everything out. Oh, by the way, this little hat here is the only thing I have in my office that's for Halloween. But I decided to put something out to kind of symbolize the season, but I just didn't want to pull all the boxes down and get all that stuff out, because I thought, I got other things I want to do. So at any rate, those are the conferences coming up I want you to know about. I also I want you to know that we, in addition to the 2 membership sites, we've got the Meetup site, which is very low cost. And then we've got the private membership site, which is also only a few dollars a month to actually join. And you can go to the video conferences there, teleconferences. You could go into the forums and chat with other members. But we just started a private Facebook page. So in addition to participating in the forums on the membership sites, you just click the button that says to forums and you go there. But you can also chat live with people in almost live, you know, on our Facebook membership group. And the only requirement to be in the private Facebook group is that you are a member of the Asperger Syndrome and Relationship group. But I don't know, it's a kind of a quick way to chat with people and get your questions answered. And I always check everything out. I look on all 3 sites, Facebook, Meetup, and the private site. I look every day and respond to people because that's important to me. So I hope you check that stuff out too. Now let's see here if I forgot anything. Oh, yeah, Daniela wants me to remember that we also started an easier way for you to put the membership site on your phone. You know how I'm a digital dinosaur, so I might be saying this wrong, but you know how you can download an app and then you can just click on it and then it takes you to that forum. Well, we've got something pretty similar, and Daniela has sent out instructions via a newsletter about how you can put the little sunflower on your phone and easily get into the forums. It'll take you directly to coming events, and or you click on the button that says forums and you're right there. You can talk to other people. If you are a member of our, you know, our membership group, you can easily get to respond to everybody. And that's been one of the biggest things that I've been advocating for, because one of the big things that's important about these groups is that members know that they have access to each other and to me. I'm available. I'm part of this group too. One thing that people say all the time is they don't feel so alone. They're so grateful to find us. They frequently say, why didn't I know about this before? I'm so grateful to find you and to know that other people have spouses like this and parents like this. And my child is growing up to be very high functioning, but they're on the autism spectrum. They had no idea that we existed. And so making it easier to get in and talk with people is the most important thing. It's more important than the video conferences or the teleconference. I mean, those are good because, of course, I'm providing some, you know, intellectual stimulation. I'm giving you some information that maybe you haven't heard before. But it's so rewarding to talk to somebody else who's living in New Orleans or London or Brisbane, and they know exactly what you're talking about, right? That's so helpful. And sometimes when you go back into your own communities and you're sitting at church or you're at a potluck with friends and you're talking about stuff, but we can't talk about this stuff. We can't talk about the narcissism that we see in our Aspies. People think we're, you know, they roll their eyes around, or they think that our head's gonna spin. Or to talk about even holiday stress from the perspective of walking on eggshells around our Aspies so they don't have a meltdown. People don't know what we're talking about. They just don't, but this group does. So, does anybody have any questions? I noticed that there's several people who've joined the call, and if you have a question, just let me know. You can type it. You can type it in. If you don't, that's okay. But I'm happy to take another couple of minutes and answer a question for you if you've got one. So while people are thinking about that, I'm also really pleased that our membership groups are growing. Every day, new people join us. Every day, people stumble across one site or the other and they join. And that tells me this is necessary. You know, this isn't somebody, let me look and see here. We've got Oh, it's interesting. This is so typical. I just got an email from somebody who, for the first time, joined our video conference yesterday on gaslighting. That was an important topic. And they just wrote and said, wow, this is so helpful. I learned so much. I'm taking better care of myself. So I think this is a group that if we have enough emotional support and we have enough information, we'll do a lot better. Oh, so this is a great question. Thank you, Jackie. She says, how should we deal with the one-sided conversations? First of all, we got to understand why they do it, right? Why do you think they do it? It's interesting. Remember, they're processing information inside according to what's going on with them, not what's going on between us. So they do a one-sided conversation. They tell us everything that's going on with them, and they might tell us what's going on with us, which isn't true, but it's because they don't realize that a conversation is reciprocal. So they're telling you what their perception is, everything they've thought about it. And then if you take issue with what they've said, a lot of times they'll think that you're just mad at them and you're just trying to point out another point of view. Right? So that one-sided conversation is because it's not really a conversation, is it? It's a soliloquy, right? So they don't know that that's not a conversation. And in fact, I've talked about this before. Many of my Aspies refer to it. Well, I have this one Asperger gentleman said, my wife, when she's talking at me, it's like confetti falling down. And I wait for it to completely fall to the ground so that she stops talking. And then he talks about something. So that's not reciprocal. And the confetti is more than confetti, isn't it? So let's see, there's another question here. Where do you draw the line in behavior that hurts you? Doesn't matter that they have a disability. Oh, I think this is a great question too. Thank you, Linda. Yes, we have to draw the line. Just because they don't mean to hurt you doesn't mean we reinforce them hurting us by allowing it to continue. Right? We don't want to allow that to continue. But it is a disability. So, do they know why we're asking them to stop it? Maybe not why. They may not know. So it depends on how open they are to listening to us. But it's still worth it to say, this doesn't work for me. I don't like the way you're treating me. Please change that right now, or I'm going to go get my nails done. Whatever it is, you remove yourself from the destructive behavior. But you're right. Remember when I said it's narcissistic, but it's not narcissistic personality disorder? They aren't out to get you, but it is narcissistic, and it hurts to not be heard. We don't like that. That's what makes us invisible. So in terms of it mattering if it's a disability, well, I suppose it matters, but I don't think that you wouldn't allow your children to be rude. Why would you allow your spouse to be rude? They can learn the rules. I call them the rules of engagement. They can learn that doesn't work with you, but they may not know why it's not okay. So then, yes, somebody else made the comment that about the one-sided conversations are disconnected conversation. Right. And I want to use that word disconnected. Let's take a look at that real quick before we run out of time here. Disconnected means that we feel cut off, right? We feel our goal is to connect. So even this is a little hard for me because I'm on a video and I assume there's people out there and you're listening and I see comments, which is great. So, but I need that. I need to know you're there and you're trying to connect with me through this medium, right? But face to face, when they do that one-sided stuff, there's no connection and it makes you feel sad or like you don't have a partner to share this moment with. So they want you to be there for them, and they feel that energy when you're paying attention to them, but they don't understand they're supposed to give it back. And that disconnect makes us depressed. And in the long run, if you put up with that kind of disconnection for years, as many of our members have, you can feel invisible. You can feel literally invisible to everybody, not just your partner. You start shrinking away from the world because we need connection with others to feel alive, right? Oh, Diane, that's an interesting question. Are you into MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator? And she says she happens to be an ENFP, and my Aspie is INTJ. Just wanted to know if you'd like to comment on personality types. So I'm not going to go a lot into Myers-Briggs because that's kind of complicated. Although I'm going to say that my ex-Aspie was an ISTJ. Now there's a lot of ISTJs in the military. They love the structure. If you're both ends, she says they're both ends, then there's some intuitive connection, which is a good thing. I'm a little suspicious that that's not really her Aspie's Myers-Briggs type. But personality does come into play here, because if you have an Aspie who has a real strong desire to communicate, but they just do it poorly, you're probably going to get further. You're going to get somebody who's willing to give it a shot, right? Whereas if you have a real strong, domineering sort of personality style, you know, they may just be convinced that they're right and you're wrong, and you're not going to get very far. So remember, Asperger's isn't a personality, it's a pattern. And it's a way the person thinks, and they don't have empathy. They don't have the ability to really read between the lines. They may be a kind person. They may be brilliant in many ways, but they don't recognize at this moment in time that they need to take a breath and let you finish your sentence. Those are empathy cues. So how about anybody else out there? Anybody else any other questions you want to ask? And remember, I'm going to wrap this up now, but if you have anything else that didn't come up, or you think about it tomorrow, you know, send me a message. Join our group, send me a message, and I always respond. I try to respond pretty quickly, but it could take me a day. But I love to talk to you and see what's going on. So I hope you join us for one of our conferences. I hope you check out the websites if you haven't had a chance to. I'd love to meet you. Take care, everybody. Happy Halloween. Alrighty. Bye-bye.